All right, this is finishing up section 11.5. We did percentiles, mean, median, mode in the previous video, so now we are going to do box and whisker plots and then outliers. And all of these are ways to sort of like describe and compare a bunch of numbers, a bunch of data, try to essentially sort of make sense of the data. Okay, so what a box and whiskers plot does, if you've never seen one, it looks like this. And basically, it has these things called quartiles with like Q1, Q2, Q3. And it basically splits the data into quarters. So you have this box in the middle and then these two little whiskers on the end. And what happens is each little part includes 25% of the numbers. So basically, we have 25% of our data in this little box between the minimum and the first quartile. And then you have another 50% between quartile 1 and the median. And then you have another 50% between this median and quartile 3. And then you have another, did I say 50%? Sorry, 25%. And then another quarter, 25% between Q3 and the maximum. All right, so if you want to label what these are, so Q2 is also called the median, right? It's just the middle number when you put them in order. All right, and what Q1 will be is it's the median of the lower 1/2 of the numbers. Okay, and that'll make more sense as we do an example here. Okay, and then Q3, not surprisingly, right? Q3 is just the median of this upper half of the numbers. So it's the median of the upper 1/2 of the numbers. Okay, and then the interquartile range you just get by subtracting Q3 from Q1, and it's basically how long it is, like how like a range goes from what number to what number. So the interquartile range is just subtracting the two. All right, subtracting of those two. So just to kind of to help you make more sense of it, I'm going to draw another quick example. All right, so say that I took all the, I don't even know what this is, maybe number of fish caught in a tournament or something, in a fishing tournament. We could see that well, not the vast majority, but most of the people caught between 8 and 10 fish, right? Because each one of these little parts is 25%. So 50% of our participants caught between 8 and 10 fish. So there's a lot of people that caught right between those numbers. Okay, and then between 10 and 20 fish, that was 25%. So this was kind of spread out a little bit more, right? And then we could say 25% of the people caught between 3 and 8 fish, so 25% of the data. So sort of what this box and whisker would tell us is a lot of people were clustered around the middle number of fish, in this case like 8, 9, and 10. Okay, I guess the only other thing I should mention, if I didn't say it already, this end of the tail is the minimum, this high one is the max, and the box is made up of the 3 quartiles, Q1, Q2, and Q3. And if there's any data that's sort of way far away from the other ones, that's called an outlier. And that's normally like not even part of the box and whisker plot. You could not even like, otherwise you'd make your whisker go all the way out here. But since it's so far away from the others, we'd say, we're not really going to even have it part of our data. So we could just mark it as an outlier. That's what's being shown there. All right. So I've seen them where you have to interpret it. So these are some books that were read over the summer. Right? And so you can kind of see, usually you draw like a number line down here, and then they correspond. So like the lowest person read 1, and then our Q2, the median of the lower values was 2.5, and then 5 was the median, and then 8 was here, and then we had 10 up there. So see if you can interpret this box and whiskers plot and answer these questions. All right, so third quartile is just this right side of the box, that's 8. So it looks like about 75% of the people read at least 8 books. The middle 50% fell between these two spots, right? Because it's 25% each. So I have 25% here and 25% here. So the middle 50% was between 2.5 and 8 books. And then Billy was in the lowest 25%. So that would be this little whisker. So we know that Billy must have read between 1 and 2.5 books. Right? If he's in that lower quartile, it'd be 1 to 2.5 books. Okay, and again, this sort of related to like percentile ranks too. Right? So if Billy read exactly 2.5 books, his percentile rank would be 25. right? Because he'd be ahead of or equal to 25% of the number of books that were read, right? If you had something like 8, you'd be the 75th percentile. 10 would represent like the 100th percentile. You're ahead of or equal to 100%. All right, so I want to practice making one. So here's some tweets of teachers, and Mr. Parse, I don't know if this is still true, but he used to like to tweet a lot. And so I always say, we're going to see kind of like what does he look like compared to the rest of the teachers, and is his number kind of an outlier? All right, so I think the best way, honestly, to do this, I was going to do it by hand, and that would maybe help us make some sense of, because we would have to put them in order and then find the median and then find the median of the other ones. But I think in this section, we do a lot of this on the calculator, if I remember right. So I'm going to demo how to do that, and actually, we could get the mean and the median also from that too, I think. So, anyways, on the calculator, we got to enter these first. So you're going to hit just get your calculator, and we're going to go to stat for like statistics, and we're going to edit first. So I'm just going to hit number 1, and then I want to put all my things in list 1. If you don't see list 1 here, you might want to reset. You can do second memory and then reset all your data, because it helps to use list 1. So I'm going to clear them out. I'm going to go up here instead of clearing them one at a time. I'm going to go up here and hit clear and enter, and that'll clear them all out. Now I just have to enter all my data one at a time. So it'll take me a second, but I don't have to put them in order at least. So 6, 6, 5, 4, etc., etc. All right, so enter them one at a time, hitting enter after each one. As a sanity check, because sometimes students will miss one number. So you can see list 1 position 10 is 15. So we should have had 10 numbers. So I can always go back and just kind of check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that means I probably got it right. If you forgot one, right, the count would be off. So anyways, you got them all in there. Okay, and so then what we're going to do is we're just going to hit stat again. And now we're going to go to calculate, and we're going to do one variable statistics. Okay, so I'm just going to hit enter. And then this is where it's helpful to use list 1, right? Because hopefully they're in there for list 1. If you put them in a different list, you can get the different list numbers above these keys down here, these little blue things. You just have to hit second and get to that list. But anyways, we're on list 1. I'm going to hit enter a bunch, and then it'll spit them all out. And actually, this first one is the mean, the X bar. I think this is the sum. Some of these we'll learn later. This is the number of terms, 10. And then the 5 numbers we need for the box and whiskers plot, you got to scroll down a little bit. But here they are. There's your min, Q1, median, Q3, and then a max of 15. And those are literally the 5 numbers I need to make my box and whisker. All right, and so when I draw it, the key is you actually want to do a number line and line up this with 1 on the number line, 2, 4.5, 6, and 15, because it should look, box and whiskers should look proportional, right? So like the idea here I was talking about, like it shows how the data spread out. So if there's a lot of numbers here clustered, then this, even though these are both 25%, same with the whiskers here are more spread out. So you want to draw it proportionally, saying that like, yes, there's 25% each one of these little boxes, but they're clustered close together. And we do that by drawing a number line underneath to make sure that it looks accurate. So I drew my number line. Actually, I just copied it off the internet, but you don't have to draw it this detailed. If you want to just do every 5th tick mark, that's fine. But then I'm just going to say, okay, my min was 1, so that's where I'm going to start my whisker at. So I'm going to draw a little dot here at 1, and that's where my whisker is going to start. And then my Q1 was at 2. So my box is going to start here. 4.5 was my median, so I'm going to put that right there. And then my Q3 was 6. Okay, so I'm going to draw it like that and draw my box as best I can. Sorry, that's kind of not a very big box, but it looks like that. And then I'm going to connect it to my whisker down there. And sometimes I label these to make it clear, especially because my drawing here is pretty bad. But I'm going to draw 1, 2, 4.5, and 6. And then Mr. Parse out here is 15. So I'm going to draw a long whisker. Okay, and that'll kind of give us an idea that like his number is kind of like an outlier because it's pretty far, right? 75% of these tweet numbers are between 1 and 6. So he's pretty far from what's normal. All right. So that's how you make one, is draw a number line, label the different pieces. And again, it kind of shows you how the data is spread out. And here we could say most of it, the tweet numbers are between 1 and 6. All right. And again, that's just in the stats of the calculator. And you can use that too for like finding the mean. I don't think it said, well, it does say median. So you could do it for finding mean and median. There's nothing in there for mode, which is unfortunate, but hopefully you can just look at it and see which one's most common. So anyways, to make the box and whiskers, use those five numbers. All right, final thing I want to talk about then in this is this number is considered an outlier, probably, right? And an outlier is just a number that's far away from all the others, right? And so that's our last concept. And so there's actually these formulas for figuring out if there's an outlier, but just because there's so much stuff in this chapter, we decided not to include it. And so when it asks you about an outlier on the test, you just have to select the one that's far away from the others. Okay, and so you can have outliers that are really high or really low. Okay, so you can see here most of our data is between like 11 and 21, and then we have one that's way far below and then one that's way far above. Okay, and so definitely I would say 42 is an outlier here. And then 3, maybe we'd want to do the formulas. On the test, hopefully it'll be clear. I would maybe guess 3 is an outlier, but we'd have to do the formulas to figure it out, right? And again, on the test, you just have to identify it. So this would be basically a test question on outliers. So are there any outliers? Well, hopefully you can see, well, yeah, the 37 is way far away from all the others, so it's our outlier. So this one's pretty straightforward on the test, and it's just a general concept that's related to our data, right? And it would apply, like in this case, I would probably redraw the box and whisker plot without the 15 since it's so far away from the other ones. But in the interest of time, I'm not going to do that in this video. But anyways, so that's it for box and whiskers and outliers. Thanks for watching.